Ding. Your blood bar gold finger has been credited. Cloud C Assembly Point Cloud C Number 1 Central Hospital Ophthalmology. The doctor looked at the young man in front of him, who looked extremely haggard with deeply sunken eye sockets, with some suspicion. The doctor is very suspicious whether he has the wrong patient, given his appearance of kidney deficiency. Are you Jiangyu? The doctor unconsciously adjusted his glasses and the young man nodded. Yes. The doctor restrained his doubts and asked, what are your symptoms? Jiangyu paused and said, my eyes haven't been feeling comfortable recently. I seem to see a red layer over everything, but it disappears when I blink, and reappears when I blink again. Also, when I look at black objects, especially shadows, I always feel that something is not right. At this moment, Jiangyu stared straight at a spot a few centimeters above the doctor's head as if something was gathering there. Finally, a light spot appeared in that elongated object. It turned into a row of numbers. 18%. The whole thing looked like a health bar from a game, and furthermore the health bar was becoming clearer and clearer. The doctor happened to ask, how old are you? Jiangyu stared at the row of numbers and said 18, before realizing, Doctor, you were asking about my age, right? The doctor was completely confused, thinking to himself, otherwise what else could I be asking about? Length? This kid should go see a neurologist. This doctor looks pretty healthy, but if the 18% health bar above his head were actual blood, he would be close to death. The doctor asked again, do you drink alcohol? Jiangyu's attention was now scattered everywhere, and he instinctively asked, do you drink now? The doctor was speechless. Jiangyu also realized that he seemed to be answering the wrong question and quickly explained, Sorry, I was a bit distracted. The doctor covered his head in pain, thinking to himself, you're not just distracted, it's obvious that your soul has already flown away. The doctor then said, young man, your attention seems to be unable to focus. Forget it, I'll still check you. After saying that, the doctor stood up and took out a small flashlight. He aimed the light at Jiangyu's eyes and let him look around. Other than some redness, there were basically no problems. There are also many blood vessels. It is obvious that he hasn't slept well. In the end, the doctor could only say, there is nothing serious. All the values are pretty normal. It should just be a common conjunctivitis. I will prescribe some eye drops for you. Just go back and apply a drop, it should be fine. Jiangyu thanked the doctor and then turned to leave the consultation room. Now in his eyes, the whole hospital corridor was bathed in blood red. Doctors, nurses, patients and visitors were coming and going, and the blood bars above their heads were densely packed. One big guy seemed to be bleeding heavily with 70% blood loss, but he didn't seem to mind it at all. Taking a glance around, besides a few people in wheelchairs looking rather weak, most others had blood levels above 50%. What's the situation with the eye doctor's 18% blood level from earlier? Then he thought to himself, oh well, he's a doctor. He must understand his own condition better than I do. Thinking, he walked outside. Treat illness? What illness? In the commentary of Yongha Manhwa, it was clear that his cheat codes had arrived. Although he still didn't know the usefulness of seeing the health bar. He walked out of the hospital. Various news and slogans were displayed on the big screen outside. Night Watcher has started a new round of recruitment. 100 years ago, Earth was shocked by the appearance of countless powerful and terrifying xenomorphs from the 2 Yuan Rift, wreaking havoc on the entire Earth. Over the past century, the Great Zhou has established several impregnable level 1 gathering points and many level 2 and 3 gathering places. Cloud C, where Jiangyu is located, is one of the level 2 gathering places. At this moment, Jiangyu, holding a candy cigarette, leisurely walks home. Indeed, he found that his shoelaces had come undone. A distinguished transmigrator like himself must always be neat and tidy. Thinking so, he bent down to tie his shoelaces. Just as Jiangyu finished tying a cute butterfly knot, he suddenly felt something was not right. The surroundings began to turn cold and gloomy. The sounds around suddenly drifted away from oneself, and a chill started spreading from the depths of the heart to the whole body. Finally, the whole person seemed to fall into an ice cave. He struggled to lift his head. Everything around him seemed to have become dilapidated, as if something had happened. And not far away, countless soldiers in combat gear were fighting against a group of strange xenomorphs. Jiangyu was already feeling a bit out of breath at this time. And when he raised his head, he actually found that the sun in the sky became extremely strange, emitting abnormal light, and even more terrifying, he actually saw a blood streak on the sun's head. This issue is quite significant, he may start to panic. You are already a mature shadow, you should be able to copy the math problems by yourself. Late at night, only a few households still have their lights on, and Jiang Yu's home is one of them. Jiang Yu said, "Raise your hand," and then he looked ahead. His shadow swayed as he raised his hand. "Jiang Yu, lift your leg again." His shadow trembled as he lifted his leg unsteadily. Upon seeing this scene, Jiang Yu immediately burst into a mischievous smile. The degree of his mischievous smile has reached the point where even his shadow feels uncomfortable. "Shadow, why don't you do a little dance?" Suddenly, the shadow seemed to have been triggered like it had pressed a switch. His whole body started to dance. He dances Gangnam style so standardly, how standard can it be? In the midst of disorientation, even the soy sauce Jiang Yu feels like background music is playing in my mind. For a moment, things feel a bit chaotic. At this moment, the pattern on his chest burst into a bright light. The light orb detached from the body. The light orb gathered in midair to form something resembling a lottery wheel. Vaguely, Jiang Yu could see 3 words on top: God, xenomorph, human. Finally, after spinning rapidly, the wheel stopped at human. Suddenly, a bright light flashed. Next, a curtain of light quickly unfolded in front of him. Jiang Yu said with surprise, "Is this the attribute panel of that shadow?" With a thought from Jiang Yu. A detailed description then unfolds. It turns out this shadow holds all of Jiang Yu's memories. He is also able to carry out simple instructions. Jiang Yu looked at the light curtain in front of him, then looked at the energetic shadow dancing behind him. He reached out his hand and passed right through the chest of the shadow. It seems that the shadow does not have a physical body. Jiang Yu asked, "Do you have all of my memories?" The shadow continued to dance without stopping, just nodding somewhat mechanically. Upon hearing this, Jiang Yu walked to the table and began writing something with a rustling sound of pen on paper. In a moment, he finished writing and called over the shadow. Turned out to be a math problem. Jiang Yu handed the pen over and said, "This is my summer vacation homework. Why don't you give it a try?" Jiang Yu suddenly realized a problem. "Wait a minute, can't you as a shadow grasp the pen physically?" To their surprise, the shadow reached out and successfully grasped the pen. So does this guy really have a physical body? Jiang Yu reached out and kept poking the shadow. However, all his fingers passed through the other person's body. He was a little frightened for a moment. But the next moment, the shadow put down the pen and looked innocently at Jiang Yu. Jiang Yu was stunned. "Why aren't you writing? Wait a minute, your face is turning green." The shadow just wrote answer. He was so angry that he almost hit Jiang Yu, but he missed. He couldn't help but curse. What a load of bull. Remembering all the answers. I can solve this question in 2 minutes just for fun. Is it because the questions he said are too difficult? He thought to himself with a smile. Then you transcribe the ancient text. Horse breaks the camp sky, for me. Upon hearing this command, the shadow was no longer sleepy. The shadow wrote as if flying with the strokes, smooth and flowing like clouds and water. He wrote, "Power of the horse 3 stages." At this moment, the young man of the Xiao family. In no time, the first chapter will be finished. Damn, what's the point of being a superhuman? All those novels in my head were copied by the shadow. If I publish them like this, I'll make a profit. Exciting, this is so damn exciting. He asked Shadow to continue copying Jiang Yu's book, and planned to see the remaining abilities. Thinking about it, he clicked on the Shadow Devourer. Devouring darkness to gain power? So Jiang Yu squatted down in the corner, reaching out his hand. He looks like a typical adolescent stage person. But after a while, nothing happened at all. This broken ability doesn't even have an instruction manual or beginner's tutorial. At least make yourself familiar with it. Jiang Yu cursed angrily in his heart, feeling so irritated that he was itching and cursing again. As for the shadow pupil, Jiang Yu has also gained some experience with it. It seems that what I saw before was the dark side of this world. Thinking, he turned and said to his shadow, "Don't recite silently for now. Do a few push-ups for me to see." The shadow nodded and stood up from its seat. Then he gazed under the supervision of Jiang Yu. He sank down towards the ground until he completely disappeared. "Hey, where did you go when I asked you to do push-ups? Where's my shadow? Will working out my shadow make me stronger? Is this some outrageous cheat code?" He sees his shadow and dives in, then it disappears. Redyu was suddenly anxious, looking up at the ceiling, the kitchen. He even searched through the toilet, but still couldn't find it. At this moment, Jiang Yu's heart stirred slightly, and as soon as he turned around, he saw something resembling a black hole. Immediately after, A dark figure emerged from the air. It was Jiang Yu's shadow. What on earth was this shadow? Jiang Yu couldn't help but furrow his brow. Where did you just go? The shadow grabbed a pen and paper from the table, swiftly wrote 2 big characters. Dark side. Jiang Yu felt a pang in his heart, as it should be the dark side of the world. Then he asked, why did you go there? The shadow wrote 3 big characters again. Push-ups. Oh my, why did you specifically go to the dark side to do push-ups? Could it be that the dark side has better workout results? So he waved his hand and let the shadow go for training. The shadow nodded. Then he turned around and seeped back into the ground, disappearing. Seeing the shadow disappear, Jiang Yu sighed. He then sat back at the computer desk, turned on the computer and graphics tablet. In fact, Jiang Yu is not only a student but also a highly popular cartoonist. With the art experience from before crossing, the transmigrated Jiang Yu directly copied the hot-blooded comics he had seen, instantly gaining great popularity. Jiang Yu's online username is Rainy Night with or without a knife. It is also widely circulated. Jiang Yu, who rested for half a month. He should also start a new episode by now. In the blink of an eye, a night has passed. Jiang Yu slept soundly on the table, drooling onto the drawing board. It turns out that Jiang Yu was so engrossed in his creation that he fell asleep without realizing it. Indeed, a knock on the door sounded, and Jiang Yu struggled to open his eyes. He then realized that he had actually fallen asleep in that position for the whole night. He woke up feeling sore and achy in his back. When he turned over, his back made a cracking sound, causing him to involuntarily cry out. Standing up, Jiang Yu yawned as he walked over to open the door. As soon as the door opened, he saw a girl standing in front of him with 93% of her blood volume, none other than Lu Yao, Jiang Yu's childhood sweetheart and classmate, who was also a loyal fan of his manga. Hey, wait a minute, Jiang Yu was stunned. How did Lu Yao lose blood so suddenly? He then looked at the calendar and understood that those days of monthly blood loss had arrived. He touched his nose and withdrew his gaze. Jiang Yu asked, why did you come so early? Lu Yao didn't even bother to respond and just rushed into the house, asking, I saw your TikTok post last night saying you're going to start a new anime series? And the content has been finalized too? Quickly show me the settings. At that moment there was a loud noise behind Lu Yao, which even scared her pale. She turned around angrily and shouted, Jiang Yu! You don't have to slam the door even if you don't want to show me. Are you throwing a tantrum? Lu Yao carefully looked and her face became even paler. She saw that the closed security door and the edges of the door frame showed faint cracks on the walls. This scared Lu Yao so much that she even swallowed her saliva. Jiang Yu didn't respond. Instead, he looked somewhat stunned at his own arm. Goodness, the muscle lines were clearly defined and smooth. With just a little effort, he could feel the strength flowing through his entire arm. Lu Yao looked at Yu with some surprise, her slightly muscular figure. After scrutinizing him for a moment, she blurted out, have you been working out? No way, this is not the character you've created. You are the epitome of a couch potato who never exercises. How could you possibly have a perfect muscular body overnight? Indeed, Lu Yao suddenly remembered something and quickly asked, wait a minute, Jiang Yu, are you taking some kind of drug? Pay attention to this man, he's getting stronger by lying down without doing anything. He faced Lu Yao's question and Jiang Yu definitely couldn't reveal the secret of his shadow. Otherwise, he might be caught and subjected to experiments which wouldn't be worth it. So he could only shake his head and deny, saying that he had been exercising diligently recently. He even showed off his pectoral muscles as he spoke. Lu Yao was not polite at all. She went up and lifted Jiang Yu's clothes in one go. This gave both of them bright red faces. Lu Yao then realized that something was not quite right, but still forced herself to look up and down. What kind of training intensity has led you to develop 8-pack abs in just a few days? Also, chest muscles like Captain America's? How is that possible? Absolutely impossible. However, I have seen some cases my dad handled. Jiang Yu, those things must not be touched. You can turn back now, there is still time. Jiang Yu couldn't help but curl his lips. What trouble could I get into? You should just keep quiet, with your little mouth chattering away. Who knew that Lu Yao not only didn't hold back, but instead took a step forward and directly pinned down Jiang Yu with a grab. Then reaching behind her waist, Jiang Yu was surprised. This girl is serious. He quickly shouted, Hey, let's talk it out. What are you doing? What are you doing? What are you reaching for? Lu Yao then withdrew her hand. She took out something resembling a bracelet from behind her waist. Without saying a word, she put it on Jiang Yu. Before Jiang Yu could speak, Lu Yaoyao said, "Don't move. This is a pollution index tester." Lu Yaoyao was staring at the small screen of the tester at this time and casually explained, "Kill xenomorph, ingest foreign objects. Newborn resentment, everyone will be polluted to a certain extent. If these pollutants are not cleared in a timely manner, accumulation will lead to human degeneration and aberration." Upon hearing this, Jiang Yu chuckled to himself. His abilities came from the manual in front of his chest, so there couldn't be any pollution. But at this moment there was a sudden reaction at his chest. The testing device suddenly began to show an increase in numbers. Jiang Yu slightly turned his head and discovered that Lu Yaoyao had pulled out a gun from somewhere. "Oh, this girl is going to shoot herself. Hey, the safety of the gun is off." Thinking of this, Jiang Yu quickly suppressed the movement within his body. Soon, the numerical values visibly decreased and finally returned to normal. Jiang Yu looked at Lu Yaoyao and chuckled. "See, I told you there's nothing wrong." Lu Yaoyao looked suspiciously and checked. "It seems like there's no problem now." Jiang Yu let out a long sigh and couldn't help but ask, "Tell me, did you cock the gun? Did you unlock the safety catch? You almost scared me to death." Lu Yaoyao then explained, "It's how my father taught me. In all things one must be a bit cautious." As she spoke, she holstered her gun back. Jiang Yu knew he couldn't linger on this topic any longer. Otherwise, he really didn't know if he could handle it. He shifted the conversation and said, "Lately, I've been drawing some passionate character designs with a good storyline. Do you want to take a look?" Lu Yaoyao, as a die-hard fan of passionate manga, is completely unable to resist such things. She almost wanted to pounce on Jiang Yu. After much persuasion, he finally coaxed her into going back by giving her a complete set of new passionate anime setting collection. When Lu Yaoyao left, Jiang Yu collapsed on the bed, feeling more exhausted from dealing with the girl than drawing comics. After taking a break, Jiang Yu accessed the interface. He looked at the system log. He couldn't help but widen his eyes in astonishment. Jiang Yu was completely dumbfounded. Really fucking outrageous. The shadow was actually exercising all along. The main act is just a shadow exercising. I'm living the life. As Lu Yaoyao was dealt with by Jiang Yu waved his hand and a black aura descended. A black mist suddenly rose from the floor. In the end, Jiang Yu's entire shadow squeezed out from the floor. Jiang Yu saw this scene and nodded slightly in approval. "Very good. I have already felt the results of your workout last night. It can be said that the improvement is very obvious. However, we cannot be satisfied with the current progress. We need to increase the difficulty to make ourselves faster and stronger." The shadow didn't know that he had become quite a useful tool in Jiang Yu's eyes, still silly nodding repeatedly. Jiang Yu suddenly became interested. "Let's do some group push-ups. Walking planks. Single-handed two-finger push-ups. Handstand push-ups, followed by another set of regular push-ups. Human flag pistol squats. Spider-Man crawls, followed by dragon flag for abs." Jiang Yu danced excitedly. Jiang Yu could be said to have explained all the exercise methods he knew one by one, even searching for some explanations and then saying them all. At this moment, Lu Yaoyao, who was eavesdropping outside the door, heard the sound of exercising inside. She hadn't heard of more than half of the names of these exercise moves. She could only sigh secretly, realizing that Jiang Yu was indeed exercising. She must have been overly suspicious. It's really annoying to worry others like this. Fortunately, he's fine. Lu Yaoyao, who had let go of her worries, happily bounced her way back home. I need to quickly watch this comic. On the first day of obtaining the shadow, Jiang Yu's whole life changed. The shadow did not stop for a night, exercising diligently. As for Jiang Yu, they slept comfortably and didn't feel tired at all from head to toe. Yet, their physical fitness improved. Shameful. We young people, how can we be content with the status quo? So the next day, Jiang Yu doubled the intensity of the training for the shadow. In the end, it can be said that the effect was outstanding. Well-defined abs and large chest muscles, truly to the extent that makes people drool at the sight. Please refer to Captain America in the movie. Now Jiang Yu even doubts if he could easily overpower Lu Yaoyao in a match. The more he thinks about it, the more pleasing it seems. However, all of this is not important. What matters is to continue training and make oneself stronger. Later, Jiang Yu's Uncle Lee came to see him. Uncle Lee works at Night Watcher, but he is older now and has lost an arm, so he is more involved in logistical work. Jiang Yu can feel that Uncle Lee is no longer his match. Even if there were 3 Uncle Lees, he would be able to handle them without a problem. On the third day, Jiangyu sat up in bed thinking, Jiangyu, oh Jiangyu, how could you have fallen so low? Life cannot be so comfortable. To gain extraordinary abilities, one must be tough themselves. Jiangyu, you must work hard. On the fourth day, Jiangyu continued to lie in bed, scrolling through TikTok, while the shadow of someone continued to exercise. On the fifth day, Jiangyu finally didn't stay in bed and instead sat in front of the computer playing games. As for exercising, isn't the shadow still working out? On the sixth day, Jiangyu finally remembered that he needed to exercise, so he voluntarily did 10 push-ups. It can be said that for Jiangyu's current physical fitness, doing dozens of push-ups is a piece of cake, but he only did 10 simply because he was lazy. However, now Jiangyu has also noticed some problems. After these few days, the points of the shadow have only increased by 8 points. It can be said it's very little. At this rate, I don't know when we can accumulate enough points to activate the slot. It seems that it's time to enter the dark side to increase training progress. So, Jiangyu communicated with the shadow just in an instant. A black aura enveloped Jiangyu. Jiangyu began to sink slowly. He finally disappeared into his own floor. Jiangyu felt like he had arrived in a void. The next moment he stood still, waiting to open his eyes. Surprisingly, he found himself still in his own home, but it was a dark place as if everything had lost its color. It seems this is the dark side of the world. You scoundrel! I'm going to take you on. You just wait and see if I'll fight you or not. Step out with Jiangyu. He finally arrived at the outer world of the dark side and he breathed a sigh of relief. Things from the dark side seemed immovable. You scoundrel! I'm going to take you on. You just wait and see if I'll fight you or not. Step out with Jiangyu. He finally arrived at the outer world of the dark side and he breathed a sigh of relief. Things from the dark side seemed immovable, as he couldn't even open the door to his own house when trying to go to the dark side from home. If he weren't clever, he might have stayed indoors forever. However, this dark side is almost identical to the real world, just with a dark blue color palette. There aren't as many vibrant colors, almost like a world without color. And he always feels like there is a hint of gloominess, not sure if it's just his imagination. It's really quite strange. Just at that moment, something rapidly approached Jiangyu. Jiangyu also felt it. His initial reaction was that his shadow minion had come, afraid that he was being approached by someone from the dark side. So he turned around with a smile and said, "Shadower, are you here to get me?" When he turned around, he saw a creepy creature with a mouth full of sharp teeth and a mouth like a black hole. It raised its right arm like a giant sickle and swung it towards Jiangyu. Jiangyu was dumbfounded. What the hell is this? You look quite unique. You are really something. But now is not the time for him to think too much. Jiangyu saw it and desperately lunged forward, avoiding this knife. The eerie creature let out a terrifying scream and once again pounced towards Jiangyu. Jiangyu is dancing on the edge of a knife. He always narrowly avoids the attacks of the eerie creature. One time he was almost chopped in the head. Jiangyu finally waited for an opening and quickly activated Shadow Pupil, unleashing a formation in one go. Jiangyu immediately executed a move called Toad Enters the Water stance. He directly plunged into the formation, and the next moment he returned to the real world. However, because his posture was not particularly graceful, he ended up falling flat on his face. Jiangyu struggled to get up from the ground and then realized that his buttocks were feeling chilly. When he turned around, he found that his pants had been ripped with both buttocks exposed to the air. Standing up, Jiangyu also felt a chill down his spine. Goodness, why was there something blocking the door? What on earth was that thing? It didn't even ask before attacking me? Is it common for creatures from the dark side to lack manners like this? Luckily, during this time, Jiangyu had diligently practiced with his shadow. His physical fitness can be considered quite excellent. Although the demon is strong, it has not caused much harm to Jiangyu yet. Jiangyu's momentum suddenly soared. He picked up a folding stool and laughed wildly, saying, "Stinky Apiao, are you trying to block me at the entrance of your neighborhood? Watch me hit you." So Jiangyu, holding the folding stool, once again entered the dark side and ended up being beaten up by Apiao. The next day, Jiangyu, still unwilling to accept defeat, went back to the dark side again. This time, the result was even worse. Not only did the revenge fail, but also his chest was nearly broken by a swipe from that Apiao, almost fracturing a few ribs. This ghostly thing actually has a tail. On the third day, blood was shed, but it was from the scratch on Jiangyu's buttocks by Apiao. Wait, why is this spirit targeting his butt? On the fourth day, Jiang Yu finally surrendered and decided to rest at home for a day. Lu Yaoyao came to take care of him. Looking at the scar on his buttocks, she was speechless for a moment, not knowing where to start complaining. In the end, she could only ask, "Did you get into a fight these past 2 days?" Jiang Yu chuckled and said, "You wouldn't understand. Scars are a man's badge of honor." Lu Yaoyao gave a faint smile and asked, "Badge of honor? Whose badge of honor is imprinted on their butt?" With that, she pressed down forcefully. Jiang Yu immediately let out a scream like a pig being slaughtered. "Why are you doing this to me?" Lu Yaoyao opened her mouth in a slightly angry tone. "Not bad, so you do know how to feel pain? You show off just because you have a strong body." Jiang Yu then remembered something and asked, "Speaking of which, there is only 1 month left. What's your plan?" Lu Yaoyao was taken aback. "What do you mean 1 month left?" Jiang Yu sat up abruptly. "Madam, have you forgotten? There's only 1 month left before the martial arts exam." A book embedded in a man's chest. Shadows strengthen him through training. He still has to participate in the martial arts exam now. In such disastrous times, most industries are no longer popular. Especially in the cultural, entertainment, and art industries, those top-tier professionals in the art field have directly become the bottom class of society. People no longer care about traffic and celebrities. Instead, they are more concerned about national affairs. Just like Night Watcher, those who fight on the front lines have become the focus of people's attention. Wanting to become a Night Watcher is not a simple matter. You must pass the National Martial Examination. Once you pass the examination, it means that your life will no longer be ordinary. You are destined to soar to great heights. At this moment, Lu Yaoyao is still treating Jiang Yu with medicine. Just saw Lu Yaoyao with her head down, looking a bit disappointed, saying, "Actually, I don't want to take the martial arts exam anymore." Huh. When Jiang Yu heard this, he was stunned. Lu Yaoyao lightly bit her lip, as if making a firm decision. She said to Jiang Yu, "Actually, I want to study music." Jiang Yu was a little puzzled and said, "If you want to learn, just go ahead and learn. Is it possible that Uncle Lu disagrees?" In fact, Jiang Yu also understands in his heart that it's understandable that Uncle Lu disagrees. After all, he is a senior executive at Night Watcher, equivalent to asking a child of an official to become a freelancer. Lu Yaoyao said softly, "It's not that he disagrees, but I'll tell you, don't talk to others about it. The policy has changed starting this term. This year, as long as your qualifications meet the requirements, everyone must take the martial examination and apply for extraordinary professional examinations." Jiang Yu expressed some confusion. Wasn't individual preferences respected before? Those with average qualifications were allowed to apply for the general examination, right? Lu Yaoyao expressed some helplessness. The pressure at Night Watcher is increasing. If nothing unexpected happens, I will definitely have to apply for the martial examination. Jiang Yu nodded. Lu Yaoyao's performance in the supernormal class courses is good, even outstanding. If it's compulsory, then taking the martial examination is definitely the way to go. Jiang Yu suddenly remembered the bracelet-like item that Lu Yaoyao had taken out that day. The martial examination is very strict. Given his current state, if he were to pass that inspection, he estimates he would be regarded as a xenomorph and shot on the spot, without even the need for questioning. Is this unreliable little manual of mine trying to pull me into the camp of the xenomorphs? Suddenly, Jiang Yu thought of a solution and asked Lu Yaoyao, "By the way, can the thing you tested for me last time be used to defend against xenomorphs?" Lu Yaoyao laughed and said, "What are you thinking? How could that be possible? That device can only be used to detect xenomorphs and superhumans. If you encounter xenomorphs, it's best to run away quickly." Jiang Yu was stunned. Superhuman? Could it be themselves? Inadvertently turned into. Lu Yaoyao, seeing that there was nothing else to do, got up and said, "You have taken care of all your injuries, so I will go back first." Jiang Yu finally had some clues and had to ask Lu Yaoyao something by saying, "You must have basic knowledge about superhuman and xenomorph, right? Can you show me?" Lu Yaoyao tilted her head and said, "Aren't you planning to take the general exam? Why are you interested in superhuman now?" Jiang Yu could only smile bitterly and replied, "You said it's mandatory. What if I have talent? I just want to understand it in advance." Lu Yaoyao suddenly leaned in and asked, "Is that so? Why do I feel like you're hiding something from me?" Jiang Yu was caught off guard by this question. He blushed rarely and tried to explain, "Of course not. And I plan to create an exciting comic about superhuman and xenomorph." Things took a turn as soon as those words were spoken. Lu Yaoyao immediately became interested and started pestering Jiang Yu for more details. This caught Jiang Yu off guard, and all he could do was casually mention it was just a passing remark. So he had to start improvising, using the comic book settings from his previous life to roughly explain to Lu Yaoyao. This moment will be a rare warm one because Jiang Yu's extraordinary life may be about to start soon. Pay attention to this man. He lets his shadow exercise for him. He himself, however, goes to the girl's house to play VR. Jiang Yu followed Lu Yaoyao to her house. Lu Yaoyao said, "You can just stay here. I will go to my dad's room to get the documents for you." He looked at the decorations in the room, a typical girl's room. At this moment, Jiang Yu saw a manga called Sky of Destiny. He picked it up and exclaimed, "Sky of Destiny? Oh my, is this a manga about sibling love? You actually read this kind of genre?" Lu Yaoyao immediately took a big step to grab the comic and blushed, saying, "It's my friends that they left with me. I'm not reading it." She put away the comic and said, "Sit still. Don't mess with my stuff." Jiang Yu waved his hand. Go on. I won't touch anything." Jiang Yu couldn't help but find it a little funny that Lu Yaoyao was still the same, showing no guard against others as usual. When he turned his head, he saw an old guitar placed on one side. He thought to himself, this girl has always loved music since she was a child. She didn't throw away her old things. Back then, she used to nag at me to accompany her and listen together. Unfortunately, I have no musical talent and can't appreciate it at all. He pressed the play button on the desktop recorder as he thought about it. Suddenly, a melodious music started playing. With the soothing music, Jiang Yu recalled his past with Lu Yaoyao from childhood to adulthood. From first meeting to mutual understanding. Unconsciously, he actually fell asleep just like that. Just then, Lu Yaoyao's voice came over the intercom and woke up Jiang Yu. "Oh, when did you start liking music? You used to not even recognize all the musical instruments." But Lu Yaoyao didn't delve into this matter. She tossed a VR player to Jiang Yu and said, "Everything you want to know is in here, see for yourself." Jiang Yu put on the VR device, then pressed the start button. Suddenly, Jiang Yu felt as if he had been sucked into a universe and could even feel a sense of weightlessness. When he opens his eyes again, he found himself under a sky full of stars, with countless eyes made of light staring at him. Wow, is this too Yuan? This VR is just too real. Feels like he really is here. At that moment, a voice sounded beside his ear. Tu Yuan, an unknown realm filled with taboos and dangers, is the source of the entire catastrophe. Xenomorphs are born here. They are brutal and bloodthirsty. They launch repeated invasions on our world, attempting to destroy it. Jiang Yu watched those writhing eerie figures. Are those xenomorphs? Could what he saw in the hospital be? The voice continued. Our world and the dark side in Tu Yuan have an interlayer called the shadow layer, also known as the dark side of the world. This is because it is the projection of the real world. When the rift in Tu Yuan opens, xenomorphs will infiltrate the real world through the shadow layer. Despite Night Watcher guarding almost all entrances and exits, there will still be some slipping through the net. Jiang Yu listened to the voice and his figure continued to fly forward in this world. In no time, he arrived in a city. The voice continued to say, the shadow layer resets itself every month to recreate our world scenes. At this time, the number of xenomorphs will also increase significantly and need to be cleaned up in a timely manner. However, the shadow layer will greatly weaken the combat effectiveness of humans, so it is not recommended for strong individuals above 4 rank to come here. The visible range of the shadow layer is 3 to 5 meters, expanding with increasing strength. There is a lot of contamination in the shadow layer. Humans staying here for a long time may be infected by xenomorphs. Upon hearing this, Jiang Yu was stunned. Contamination? But he felt quite comfortable and didn't experience any discomfort. As expected, a figure appeared behind Jiang Yu. It is a powerful one-eyed xenomorph. Jiang Yu, your heart meridian is not good. But before Jiang Yu could react, a hot beam of light struck suddenly, blasting the one-eyed xenomorph to pieces before it could react. And not far away, a blazing light sphere rose, causing the xenomorphs to avert their gaze in fear. The voice spoke again. To deal with the xenomorphs, you must master the power that is strong enough to match the xenomorphs and become a superhuman. Finally, the light sphere disperses, leaving behind a figure shining with dazzling golden light. Our protagonist playing around with his childhood sweetheart, a beautiful girl. But he accidentally offended her father. Uncle Lu is so angry that he's going to look for a knife. Our protagonist flirts a bit and then quickly runs away. Jiang Yu looked at the superhuman standing in front of him, radiating an aura of majesty. Jiang Yu did not feel his heart surging. He instead walked up and poked superhuman, wondering if he could become so handsome if he passed the martial arts exam too. Poke poke poke. The voiceover continued, however, superhuman, fundamentally speaking, is no longer human. They are xenomorphs who possess human bodies. While they wield power, they are also corroded by power. Therefore, they are just xenomorphs. As soon as the voiceover fell silent, the golden figure in front of me was suddenly engulfed by darkness, as if undergoing degeneration. Threads of black energy started to emanate from his body. Eventually, he transformed completely into a creature, entirely black and resembling a xenomorph. The voiceover spoke again. Superhumans are constantly fighting against pollution aberrations, and there's a high chance they would turn into xenomorphs after death. At this moment, the already eroded black xenomorph overlord began to transform again in appearance. Countless tentacles extend from its body, its original arms transforming into huge claws, and its body starting to swell in size. The narrator spoke again. As a superhuman, if you have realized that you cannot survive and are destined to die, please use up all your strength before you die. In the end, the xenomorph superhuman of the degeneration left Jiang Yu in shock with its gaze. He transformed completely into a massive xenomorph several stories tall. The xenomorph looked down at Jiang Yu as it slowly approached. A light flashed before Jiang Yu's eyes. He then broke free from the holographic image. This sudden move, however, startled Lu Yao. She quickly asked, "What's wrong?" Jiang Yu shook his head and replied, "It's nothing. The amount of information is too much to process in a short time." Speaking of this, he tilted his head and said to Lu Yao, "Come on, give me a massage." Lu Yao was about to lose her temper, but Jiang Yu extended 3 fingers. 3 original drawings, high definition. You decide the content. Jiang Yu thought to himself, "Kid can't handle this yet? Humph." Sure enough, Lu Yao moved sideways and arrived behind Jiang Yu. Deal. Then she started massaging Jiang Yu's back. After pressing a few times, Lu Yao found something amiss and couldn't help but ask, "Why is your back so stiff?" Jiang Yu, unfazed, made up a story. "That's because I've been working out so hard, naturally increasing my muscle mass." Lu Yao rolled her eyes. "Have you developed abs then?" Jiang Yu, very disdainful, said, "Of course I have. Want to touch them?" Lu Yao didn't hold back at all. She just lifted Jiang Yu's shirt directly and groped him when, at that moment, Lu Yao's door was opened. Lu Yao's father stood at the doorway with a serious expression, veins bulging on his forehead. Startled, Jiang Yu stuttered a greeting. Uncle Lu." It was already late. Lu Yao then insisted on having dinner at home with Jiang Yu, even though her father was absolutely against it. During the meal, Jiang Yu even stole a glance at her father. That guy Lu's father chewed the bones in his mouth so loudly, as if the bone in his mouth was Jiang Yu's thigh bone. Jiang Yu could clearly feel that if Lu Yao wasn't there, Lu's father would pounce on her and tear her apart. At this time, Lu Yao gave Lu's father a nudge and said, "Dad, you've misunderstood." Lu's father snorted. "Misunderstood? Can I misunderstand? I saw with my own eyes you two being intimately close. How can I be mistaken?" Lu Yao was choked and didn't know how to respond. She could only turn to Jiang Yu. "Jiang Yu, why don't you say a few words to explain?" Jiang Yu immediately came up with a bad idea. So he picked up the water glass with a serious face and said, "Dad, oh sorry, Uncle Lu, everything is understood without being said. I will punish myself with 3 glasses. Then he drank up the juice in the cup, leaving the other 2 stunned. Lu Yao thought, "Is this your explanation?" Lu's father thought, "What explanation?" Suddenly, Lu's father could no longer suppress the anger in his heart. The daughter he raised with so much effort was about to be taken advantage of by this rascal. He immediately shouted, "You cheeky brat! You've got some nerve. Today I won't beat you. Consider yourself lucky." He flipped the table with just one hand and was ready to strike. Jiang Yu didn't dare to linger and ran away immediately. The extraordinary world is indeed a step-by-step journey. Jiang Yu and Lu Yao have known each other since childhood. They are childhood sweethearts in all sincerity. However, their personalities are like night and day. Jiang Yu is the typical bad boy often cited as a negative example, while Lu Yao is a well-educated and rational young lady. But for some reason, Lu Yao has always enjoyed playing with Jiang Yu since they were young. She even did ridiculous things like competing with Jiang Yu to see who can pee farther. Maybe it's because Lu Yao, a little girl, is often bullied by other bad kids. But every time, it is Jiang Yu who always stands in front of her. So she always unconsciously gives Jiang Yu a halo, even though he is covered in wounds. She is even willing to accompany him in doing silly things like pretending to be a homeless child to play pranks. Even though Jiang Yu was beaten up by Uncle Lu and nearly turned into an emoji afterwards. The scene returns to this moment, with Uncle Lu looking at the two people standing in front of him. His face is so dark it's almost dripping water. This stinky kid has been on guard since he was a child, why can't he ever guard against it? When he reaches out, it's like he's reaching for something in his arms. With this expression matching this action, Jiang Yu even suspects he might pull out a pistol in the next moment and shoot himself. Fortunately, in the end, he only pulled out a lighter to light the cigarette he's holding in his mouth. Lu Yaoyao's expression changed with suspicion when she saw this scene. She reached out and snatched the cigarette from him. How come her own father couldn't remember to quit smoking? Uncle Lu could only sigh at this failed attempt to light up. What were you all doing when I came back? Jiang Yu's report on overflowing will to survive. I'm looking at information on superhuman and xenomorph. Uncle Lu turned around and looked at Lu Yaoyao, always favoring this boy. He handed over the confidential information to him just like that. Lu Yaoyao, knowing she was in the wrong, could only stick out her tongue and try to act cute to win him over. However, Uncle Lu also breathed a sigh of relief. Losing some documents was better than losing his daughter. He handed over the documents but made sure to emphasize, "Little Jiang, do you know why the government doesn't allow students to be exposed to these things in advance?" Jiang Yu shook his head in confusion, admitting that he really didn't know the answer to that question. Uncle Lu said, "People's hearts are different, leading to their own corruption. Despair can pull people into yuan, so there are some things that are not suitable for public disclosure." He then put the cigarette in his mouth again, but this time he didn't light it and continued speaking. Not everyone has strong enough willpower. Even a tiny crack in one's heart can provide an opportunity for xenomorph. So there is a qualification test before the military examination. Only those whose body and willpower meet the standards can qualify to come into contact with the extraordinary world. The path to the extraordinary can be described as one step at a time, exceptionally dangerous. Even with the assistance of instruments and treatment, people still fall into uncontrollable situations every year. They are exceptionally dangerous. Even with the aid of instruments and treatment, people still lose control every year, which is truly regrettable. I don't recommend you looking into these matters. Can you understand? Jiang Yu smiled faintly upon hearing this. I know, thank you, Uncle Lu. Then he changed the subject. But this year it's a unified martial arts exam, right? There's no escaping it. Besides, it's better to rely on yourself than on others. If the sky falls, there's always someone taller to hold it up. Just keep a calm mindset. Uncle Lu shook his head helplessly and was just about to speak when the phone suddenly rang. As he answered the phone, it turned out to be a call from the bureau, an urgent mission in the shadow layer. Upon hearing this, Uncle Lu immediately got up and prepared to leave. Before leaving, he didn't forget to turn back and warn Jiang Yu. I'm off on a mission, Jiang Yu. You better behave yourself, kid. If I catch you again, next time I'll drag you back to Night Watcher. Jiang Yu patted his chest confidently. Don't worry, Uncle Lu. Lu Yaoyao and I definitely won't do anything out of line again. Upon hearing this, Lu Yaoyao spat out a mouthful of water. She immediately pinched Jiang Yu's face and said through gritted teeth, What do you mean again? We didn't do anything before either. You're doing this on purpose, aren't you? Arg. The male lead really needs to check the almanac before going out from now on. As the end of the year approaches, Candied Hawthorne, the streets and alleys are gradually bustling with activity, while Jiang Yu is shopping in the supermarket. While watching the recruitment ad for Night Watcher playing on the big screen, he still felt a bit regretful in his heart. He had intended to review more materials, but Uncle Lu returned too quickly, so he only managed to read some basics. With Uncle Lu's temperament, he must have hidden it away afterward. I'm afraid there's no chance of seeing it again. Just thinking about it makes me sigh. He threw a bottle of soy sauce into the shopping basket. Just at that moment the phone rang. Jiang Yu took it out and saw that it was Lu Yaoyao calling. Lu Yaoyao wanted Jiang Yu to bring some things like milk and eggs. In the end, she hesitated to say more and just said, That's all. Jiang Yu, having known Lu Yaoyao for more than just a day, could tell from her tone that she actually wanted him to bring sanitary pads but was too embarrassed to say it outright. Thinking this, he picked up 2 packs of overnight pads and tossed them into the shopping basket. Once he had bought almost everything, Jiang Yu began to head back. There was still a month until school started, but the effectiveness of shadow training was becoming weaker and weaker. It seemed that relying solely on shadow training might not be enough. He needed to add some real combat practice. Suddenly, Jiangyu realized that along the way, propaganda about combating xenomorphs is becoming increasingly widespread. It seems the mandatory expansion of the martial arts exam this year indicates that the situation in combating xenomorphs is not optimistic. He looked up at the sky, wondering if something bad would happen in the future. But for now he decided not to overthink it. Overthinking is annoying. Might as well find that xenomorph from before and have a fight to blow off some steam. Thinking this, he walked into a deserted alley, looked around and found no one else. He then activated Shadow Pupil. He immersed himself entirely into the world's dark side. However, upon arriving at the world's dark side, Jiangyu immediately sensed something was wrong. Not far away in the indistinct shadows, a health bar with only 14 HP appeared. He quickly went on guard and shouted, "Who's there?" And then from that corner came the sound of dragging footsteps, as if the person had trouble walking. Jiangyu approached the corner and found that beneath the health bar was a young man. He was covered in blood, with several large bloody holes, and one leg was grotesquely deformed, dragging behind him. As the young man drew closer, Jiangyu suddenly felt something was off. This person's face looked somewhat familiar. At this moment, Jiangyu suddenly remembered something and leaped backward 2 steps. He exclaimed in surprise, "You seem to live in the same building as me. What are you doing here?" The young man did not respond. Or perhaps he was in no state to answer. As if all his strength had left him, he collapsed to the ground. Jiangyu watched the scene, unsure of what to do. The young man before him had only 14 HP left, a near-death state. Should he save him or not? Wait, something felt off to Jiangyu. Not far behind the young man there were actually 2 children. How could such young kids have entered the dark side? Looking more closely, the xenomorph floating near the 2 children, ready to strike, looked increasingly familiar to Jiangyu. Suddenly, Jiangyu immediately assumed a battle-ready stance. He growled in a low voice, "What are you doing here?" So this remaining 24 HP ghost. It turns out to be the one that fought Jiangyu for so long. The male lead transforms into a kidney-crazed maniac. "Today, Ghost, your kidneys are definitely going to get messed up." Glancing at the scene before him, Jiangyu sized it up in an instant. This young man was probably from Night Watcher, but likely in a clerical or support role. The 2 kids had been dragged into the dark side by a xenomorph. The young man had probably stumbled upon the situation and entered the dark side in an attempt to rescue them. As a result, being in a clerical role, he didn't have strong combat abilities. Now the young man was covered in contamination. He probably took the kind of pill that Night Watcher distributes, the one that triggers a final burst of strength before death. Jiangyu really hit pretty close to the mark. So Jiangyu helped the young man up and let him rest against the wall for a while. Then he stood up. He rubbed his hands together, ready to deal with that ghost. Just as the young man looked at the confident Jiangyu in front of him, thinking he was some mysterious powerhouse, the ghost had already rushed over and punched him. Directly sent Jiangyu flying. The young man couldn't help but think to himself, "This is just too damn weak. I'm tired, just hurry up and end it all." Then Ghost Xenomorph swiftly turned the bone blade in its hand, glowing with a red light, and slashed toward the young man. But at that very moment a hand carrying a gust of fierce wind reached out. That hand delivered a resounding slap to the Ghost Xenomorph, instantly distorting its face. A single slap actually knocked off 1% of its health. It may not be much damage, but the humiliation is off the charts. Turns out Jiangyu came running back. He waved the soy sauce bottle at the ghost and said, "Bastard, have the guts to look straight at me. Come on, let's have a couple of rounds with me." Then Ghost Xenomorph turned around and slashed at Jiangyu. Jiangyu shifted his feet and deftly dodged the attack. He gave the soy sauce bottle in his hand a slight heft. Then he swung it fiercely and smashed it onto the xenomorph's body. The xenomorph, in pain, raised its scythe and slashed down. Little did they expect, Jiangyu slipped stealthily to the back of the xenomorph. With the broken half of a liquor bottle in hand, he stabbed straight at the xenomorph's kidney. The xenomorph was furious, its scythe-like claws slashing through the air with blinding speed. However, Jiangyu had already figured out its patterns. It simply couldn't land a hit. This only infuriated the xenomorph even more. Moreover, while dodging, Jiangyu kept poking the xenomorph's waist with a wine bottle, at least a dozen times in just a short while. Not much blood was lost, but the blood pressure sure spiked. In the end, it even backed off on its own. Now, as it looks at the broken bottle in Jiangyu's hand, its kidney starts to ache. The young man sitting over there couldn't decide whether to call Jiangyu awesome or a wimp. There was no technique at all, and every move was aimed at the kidneys, yet somehow he inexplicably managed to suppress the xenomorph. Just then, Jiangyu reached out towards the ghost xenomorph hovering in midair. The other day you gave me a little knife to the butt to open my eyes. Today I'll give you a stab to the kidneys. The ghost suddenly recoiled, then its lower body, resembling a long tail, whipped towards Jiangyu, sending him flying far away. Jiangyu struggled to get up. I was careless, didn't dodge. I kept stabbing its kidneys so it was on guard. Seeing that one move had worked, the ghost immediately charged forward. Jiangyu was now in a dilemma. His health could only withstand 2 more hits. If he wanted to play it safe, the best option would be to withdraw from the dark side immediately. He could come back in a few days to settle the score, but turning a blind eye to someone in danger just wasn't his style. Finally, he gritted his teeth. This xenomorph only had 20 health left. Today he was definitely going to stab its kidney. Just then the young man leaning against the wall shouted, "Its right ribs are severely injured. Attack there." Jiangyu accelerated directly toward the right side of the xenomorph and lunged. Got it. Watch this. Then the ghost xenomorph was severely injured on its right side. Upon seeing this, it instinctively covered its right side. Witnessing the scene, Jiangyu let out a wicked laugh. He shifted his form and appeared at the wide-open left side, thrusting the bottle at the kidney once more. This strike directly took off 2% of his health. That must be excruciatingly painful. Then the xenomorph suddenly turned and ran, leaving Jiangyu stunned. Why did it run away? The xenomorph leaped over the young man leaning against the wall. It lunged straight at the 2 children. The young man was instantly horrified. Oh no! It wasn't trying to escape. It intends to use those 2 children to regain its vitality. Just because you xenomorphs can bite humans doesn't mean we humans can't bite back at xenomorphs. Where's the logic in that? From the xenomorph pouncing towards the 2 children, it moved so fast that within seconds it was right in front of the kids. The xenomorph opened its mouth wide. It was about to bite down on the children's heads. The children were utterly powerless to stop it. The children could only watch helplessly as the giant, fanged mouth lunged toward them. But at that very moment a loud shout was heard. Stop right there, you beast! The xenomorph instinctively paused. Jiangyu's veins bulged on his arms. He reached out and pulled out the limited edition cola he had just bought at a high price. He threw it with all his might at the xenomorph's crooked head. Xenomorph only felt a sudden gust of wind on one side, and hadn't yet figured out what was happening. That cola can was already right in front of its eyes. The xenomorph reacted with lightning speed, lifting its head in an instant to dodge the can hurtling toward it. But at that very moment, the young night watcher, who had been resting against the wall, he had already moved to the other side of the xenomorph. He pushed off with one leg, leaping high into the air using his only remaining good leg. He kicked straight toward that xenomorph. He landed the kick directly on the wound that had been inflicted earlier. The xenomorph let out a piercing, agonized howl, writhing in pain. The kick had clearly struck an already existing injury, adding insult to injury. It directly lost 3% of its health from that kick. And the young man also aggravated his internal injuries, coughing up a mouthful of blood. Xenomorph harbored deep resentment from that kick. It immediately turned around and lunged to bite the young man. Who would have thought its mouth was already right in front of him? But it was caught by a pair of large hands. Jiangyu grabbed the xenomorph's head from behind and said with a sinister smile, "You bite people? I'll bite you to death, you little brat." With that, he opened his mouth wide and bit down hard on the xenomorph's neck. The xenomorph howled in pain. Never before had anyone dared to bite a xenomorph. Today was certainly an eye-opener. That bite took off 1% of its health, and it wasn't over yet. Jiangyu grabbed the fluttering hair of the xenomorph. With a heavy press, he pinned the xenomorph to the ground, then like a street brawl, unleashed a barrage of fierce tiger-subduing fists on the xenomorph. While beating it, he cursed, "Xenomorph, huh? You bastard, who do you think you're messing with? Keep barking like a dog. Bark again. I'll skin you and make a toilet seat out of your hide." This series of continuous strikes. He directly beat the xenomorph down to just 11% health. And that's not all. Jiangyu was on a roll, his trash-talking skills flowing like a fountain. Eating people, huh? Acting all tough, huh? I'll make sure you get your fill of fists. If I don't stuff you full today, my name isn't Jiang. Right at that moment, Jiang Yu suddenly noticed a glowing red orb flickering on the xenomorph's body. He was also taken aback, then immediately raised his hand. He inexplicably smashed toward that glowing orb. As his hand shattered the red light, Jiang Yu let out a loud shout. "You bastard, go crawl to hell." Suddenly, a powerful surge of energy erupted from the xenomorph, and it vanished within that burst of force. It completely shattered, its head blown off and flying away. Jiang Yu gasped for breath as he collapsed to the ground, covered in blood, most of it from the xenomorph. And at that moment the entire dark side began to tremble. The ground and other objects damaged by the fight began to reverse, gradually restoring to their original state. Jiang Yu paused for a moment, then reached out to brush aside his hair. He chuckled softly. "Finally, I've avenged my butt." Seeing that the young man and the two children in the distance were safe and sound, Jiang Yu felt a wave of relief, and as if all support had been drained from him, his vision went black and he collapsed to the ground. "Bro, I just saved you. It's not very cool of you to make fun of me." The city ablaze, streets littered with corpses. Jiang Yu couldn't process it at first. How had the settlement turned into this living hell? Suddenly, Jiang Yu was surrounded by countless indistinguishable xenomorphs, which roared and charged at him. Jiang Yu hadn't even realized what was happening before he was encircled by the xenomorphs, torn apart, finally vanishing amidst a blaze of flames. I don't know how long it had been. Jiang Yu faintly heard someone speaking. He forced himself to open his eyes and saw the young man from before. So he hadn't died, it was all just a dream. Thank goodness it was just a dream. However, after slaying the xenomorph, he had passed out. He couldn't remember anything. Thinking of this, he realized the xenomorph couldn't go to waste. He then reached out and touched the xenomorph shell with his finger. He activated the Shadow Devourer. In an instant, he devoured all the energy of the xenomorph. Yet the young man seemed to turn a blind eye and kept asking, "Are you okay? Why aren't you saying anything?" Jiang Yu quickly responded, I'm here. When he looked at the young man, he noticed that his health bar was only at 10%. This guy's condition was quite critical. According to the system's classification, 10% is considered near death. Prompt and professional rescue might still give him a chance to survive. The young man, seeing that Jiang Yu was not seriously injured, breathed a sigh of relief. He patted Jiang Yu on the shoulder and asked him to help him sit down against the wall. After sitting down, both of them let out a sigh of relief. The young man suddenly spoke up. "Bro, you're not from the Night Watch, are you?" Jiang Yu was taken aback. Had he not recognized him? They lived in the same building, constantly crossing paths. How could there be no impression at all? Taking a closer look, he noticed the young man's pupils were dilated. It seemed he couldn't see anything. So he said, "No." The young man suddenly laughed upon hearing this and said, "I knew it. Struggling so much just to take down a first-tier xenomorph. Definitely not one of our Night Watchers." Jiang Yu's face instantly darkened with frustration, thinking, "You really have no idea how to hold a conversation, do you? And here I just saved you." The young man finally stopped laughing and said, just kidding. You're actually pretty impressive. Using a soy sauce bottle to take down a xenomorph is definitely a first in history." Laughing, he suddenly started coughing violently. Jiang Yu immediately panicked. Hey, are you okay?" He thought to himself that this person really has a great mindset, still able to laugh even in such a state. The young man asked again, "Little brother, judging by your voice, what year of college are you in?" Jiang Yu replied, "Capital Sentinel Academy, starting my second year this semester." Jiang Yu didn't say much more. It was better to keep his information vague for now. Little did he know, the young man suddenly became interested. "Oh, what a coincidence. You're actually my junior. Which major are you in, liberal arts or martial arts?" Jiang Yu felt a headache coming on, thinking to himself, "Bro, please stop asking. Just rest already, you're still bleeding." The young man couldn't see Jiang Yu's pained expression at the moment and instead muttered to himself, "It must be martial arts. Liberal arts probably couldn't handle a mid-tier first level." Suddenly, the young man reached out his hand and asked, "Hey buddy, do you have a cigarette?" Jiang Yu scratched his head. "I only have baichi." The young man was taken aback. "Baichi? Biscuits? That works too, give me one." Jiang Yu took out a biscuit and broke it in half. He handed half to the young man. The young man was speechless for a moment and said, "Why are you so stingy?" You only gave me half a biscuit. Jiang Yu pointed to the biscuit box that had fallen on the ground not far away. There was originally a whole box, but it all got crushed in the fight. If you want some, I can crawl over and pick some up for you. The young man looked disgusted and said, Get lost. If you want to eat it, go ahead and eat it yourself. So each of them had half a biscuit. Without chewing, they just held it in their mouths, leaned against the wall and began to rest. Someone come quick. Who's going to take a stab at themselves? Is this guy Tang Sanzang? Why won't he just shut up already? Jiang Yu and the other person leaned against the wall, chatting intermittently. The young man was quite surprised to hear Jiang Yu say it was his first time killing a xenomorph. He couldn't help but feel a bit envious of Jiang Yu, who seemed to be a natural talent for combat. Unlike himself, who had poor aptitude and weak willpower, otherwise, he wouldn't have ended up in a clerical role. Even after taking a drug like Farsight, he still couldn't defeat a mid-tier first-tier xenomorph. Seeing him start to breathe heavily, Jiang Yu couldn't help but advise, Stop talking, save your energy and wait for rescue. The young man waved it off casually. It's fine. I just wanted to take the chance to have someone chat with me. Then he raised his hand and said, Someone like me, in a clerical role. Willpower is like cotton fluff. No matter how much there is, it's still just fluff. When pollution strikes, how can it possibly withstand it? Jiang Yu, upon hearing this, asked, Do you regret it? You could have chosen the ordinary path in the humanities. And as a civilian staff member, why would you come alone to the shadow layer? The young man immediately clenched his fists and growled in a low voice. Regret? I fucking do regret it. I'm just an office worker slacking off at work, flirting with girls. I'm training newbies, isn't life sweet? I must have something wrong with my brain rushing in on impulse. Now look, I can't get out. After saying that, he started coughing violently again. Jiang Yu quickly stepped forward to console him. He had to, because this guy already had low blood volume, and if he kept it up, he might just bleed out. The young man waved his hand and pointed at the two children who had fallen into a deep sleep not far away, saying, Don't worry, the rescue signal has been sent out. Help will be here soon. Jiang Yu saw the signal-transmitting bracelet on the child's wrist and nodded with relief. Jiang Yu stood up wanting to take a look, but was grabbed by the young man. Stop running around, or if you run into a xenomorph again, your mediocre skills won't even be enough to fill its teeth. Sit down and chat with me for a while longer. Practically turning into a meme. Bro, you're way more torturous than a xenomorph. He really wanted to escape but just couldn't break free. So he had no choice but to sit down helplessly again and listen to the big brother continue talking about his glorious past. However, Jiang Yu was truly suffering in silence, wishing he could just deafen himself. At that moment, the young man suddenly said, By the way, if you go to the academy, find some time to apologize to Director Zhou of the Transcendent Studies program at the Martial Science College for me. Just tell him I failed to live up to his expectations back then. I couldn't even handle a first-tier mid-level xenomorph. Then, also thank Deputy Director Huang from the College of Superhuman Studies for her guidance. And please advise her to tone down the cringy, overly dramatic lines in class. Phrases like passing the torch and humanity endures forever are just too awkward. Jiang Yu said with a bitter smile. Bro, maybe you should wait until I grab a notebook, or tell them yourself after you recover. He then flashed a grin and added, You're saying so much I can't remember it all. Hearing this, the young man was stunned. Then he said somewhat dejectedly, I've kept these words bottled up inside for a long time. I just wanted to find someone to talk to. Then he murmured, North Capital Sentinel Academy. If only I could go back to that time, how wonderful it would be. Then he reached out his hand and said, A couple more biscuits, please. I want the spicy strip flavor. Jiang Yu said speechlessly, You've got quite the taste. There's nowhere in the world that can get you spicy strip-flavored baki. The young man said with some regret, Yeah, you're right. Never mind then. Just at that moment, spatial fluctuation suddenly appeared not far away, and several small rifts began to emerge. The young man turned around as if sensing something. It seems the Night Watchers people are here. Jiang Yu felt as if he had been granted a great reprieve. Finally. At last. He was finally about to be freed. The agony of endless nagging was soon to be over. Night Watcher gazing at the starry sky guarding the earth. Seeing Night Watcher approaching, Jiang Yu naturally couldn't stay any longer, so he picked up his things and turned to leave. The young man was somewhat surprised. Aren't you coming with me? Jiang Yu grinned. Nah, I'd rather go by myself. The young man thought for a moment and quickly understood the reasoning behind it. He smiled and said, "Go ahead, have a safe journey." Jiang Yu felt something was off but didn't think much of it. He nodded and said, "All right, I'll be going then. Take care." So he turned around and headed in the other direction. Jiang Yu gradually walked farther away. The young man sitting against the wall gradually fell silent, and his breathing began to weaken. As Jiang Yu used shadow pupil, a rift began to encircle him. He was about to return to his original world. Jiang Yu turned back somewhat reluctantly to look at the young man. Just as night watch rescuers arrived near the young man, several people quickly began examining him. The person in charge of the examination turned back and slowly shook his head. Just as Jiang Yu was still puzzled about what the shaking head meant, the health bar above the young man's head suddenly flickered, deducting 1% out of nowhere. Then it immediately started dropping rapidly, losing half in just a few seconds. Jiang Yu was dumbfounded. How could this be? With current medical technology, even 10% health could be treated, so why was the health bar inexplicably dropping now? At this moment, Jiang Yu saw several rescue personnel stand up. They saluted the young man in unison. And at that moment, the young man's health bar completely dropped to 0. The young man's body like shattered porcelain, fragmented into pieces, shimmering with light as it gradually disappeared. Jiang Yu was greatly shaken and was about to rush over. But at this moment, Shadow Pupil had also completed its activation. In an instant, it brought Jiang Yu back to the original world. People on the street looked at Jiang Yu somewhat puzzled. What's wrong with this person? Shouting and screaming on the street, and his clothes are all covered in blood. Is this some kind of performance art? And Jiang Yu at this moment was also filled with immense disappointment and sorrow. Although that big brother was a bit talkative, he was truly a good person. On the screens in the street, the promoters of Night Watcher were still delivering their message. As a superhuman, remember, you must never give up, even at the last moment. When you realize your chances of survival are low, take Compound 3 Farsight. Burn your life to illuminate our great show, and you shall return to your homeland with honor. Remember the sacrifice, march forward courageously, eradicate all xenomorphs completely, standing on the earth, gazing at the stars, patrolling the night on behalf of the heavens, looking toward the future, rooted in the mortal world yet transcending it, performing extraordinary deeds with mortal flesh. We are all gazing into the distance. We are the Night Watchers. And at this moment, Jiang Yu has already returned to the apartment. He hadn't yet snapped out of it inside the elevator. Is that big brother really gone? Just moments ago, he was still laughing and chatting lively. Now that I think about it, he just wanted to find someone to share his thoughts with before he died. No flowers, no applause, just a quiet passing alone. Jiang Yu took out the key with a sense of loss and numbness, opened the door and walked into the room. He thought to himself, but no matter how ordinary, I will always remember him. Sis, you wouldn't actually believe my nonsense, would you? You're making me feel guilty now. Jiang Yu returned home covered in wounds. He was completely exhausted. Now he just wants to grab a quick bite, then hurry up and wash before going to sleep. At that moment, Jiang Yu turned his head and saw his reflection in the mirror. Surprisingly, the health bar above his head was still more than half full. He could barely walk now and had thought it was down to less than 20. Then he thought of his elder brother who had sacrificed himself, who remained calm and cheerful even with only 10% of his health left. He realized that his own willpower still needed training, otherwise just building physical strength would be pointless. Just as Jiang Yu took out the ham sausage and instant noodles, a voice came from behind him. Where are the eggs I asked you to buy? This shout startled Jiang Yu, causing him to drop the dinner he was holding. Turning around, he saw Lu Yao leaning over the back of the sofa, looking at him and complaining. Your phone is unreachable and you're nowhere to be found. Anyone would think you'd run off to the Shadow Realm. What, did you go to the chicken coop to get the eggs fresh? Jiang Yu, with his back to Lu Yao, dared not turn around. If this big sister saw his injuries, who knows what trouble might follow. He could only say, it's almost the new year. You know how long the lines at the supermarket are. Jiang Yu suddenly realized, wait a minute, how do you have the key to my house? Lu Yao hopped over the sofa and pouted. You never cook and always order takeout. Uncle Li asked me to look after you, so he gave me a key. As she spoke, she walked over to Jiang Yu, looking him up and down with a puzzled expression. On the other hand, what happened to you? It looks like you went out and got beaten up or something. Jiang Yu broke out in a cold sweat instantly. He stammered a bit and said, it's nothing. It's so late, you should go back and get some sleep early. Or Uncle Lu might misunderstand again. At this, Lu Yao became even more suspicious. You're acting strange, really strange. Since when do you care about misunderstandings? Turn around right now, you brat. With that, she reached out to grab Zhang Yu. But Zhang Yu was dead set on resisting, refusing to turn around no matter what. But just at that moment, with a sharp tearing sound, the sleeve Lu Yaoyao was grabbing ripped open, and Zhang Yu instinctively turned around. Lu Yaoyao was shocked at the sight. How did you get hurt like this? Zhang Yu immediately tried to break free, but Lu Yaoyao refused to let go. Grabbing with both hands, she absolutely refused to let go. Zhang Yu had to make up a story on the spot. On my way back, I ran into a robbery, so I stepped in to help. Don't let my sorry state fool you. That guy ended up way worse off than me. The police showed up later and could barely recognize the guy as a person after what I did to him. At this point, Zhang Yu even started gesturing to illustrate. Check out my uppercut, left and right hooks, combo punches. Bro, I beat that guy so badly even his own mother wouldn't recognize him. Couldn't tell man from beast. Just as Zhang Yu was about to continue making up the story, Lu Yaoyao suddenly reached out and gently touched the scars on Zhang Yu's face. At this moment, her eyes were filled with sadness and pity. She seemed on the verge of tears. Zhang Yu was momentarily stunned, then upon closer thought, wait, could this sister actually believe the nonsense I was spouting? Male lead, you're a grown man. How can you cry so much just from applying medicine? Seeing Lu Yaoyao on the verge of tears, Zhang Yu was momentarily flustered. Lu Yaoyao gently touched Zhang Yu's wound and asked with concern, how is it? Does it still hurt? Zhang Yu quickly said, it doesn't hurt, it doesn't hurt. Big sister, you should go back to sleep soon. Lu Yaoyao didn't know what she thought of, but suddenly her face turned red. She turned her head and said, I'm going to tell Uncle Li about you fighting with someone in the middle of the night. Zhang Yu was immediately terrified. If Uncle Li found out, he would be skinned alive. He grabbed Lu Yaoyao's hand and said, my dear lady, please don't. That wasn't a fight, it was an act of chivalry. Please just go back. Lu Yaoyao's stubbornness flared up. No, I won't. Zhang Yu rolled his eyes and plopped down on the ground. Oh no, I can't take it anymore. I'm completely drained of energy. Lu Yaoyao thought his injuries had flared up and quickly asked with concern, are you all right? She looked Lu Yaoyao up and down carefully and came to a conclusion. Zhang Yu, your injuries need to be treated at the hospital. Zhang Yu naturally refused, shaking his head vigorously. No need for all that trouble. The medicine at home is very complete. All brought back by Uncle Li from Night Wather, and it's super effective. Lu Yaoyao narrowed her eyes, sensing something was off. All right, you just want me to apply the medicine for you, don't you? Zhang Yu could only force a smile and say, sorry to trouble you, Dr. Lu. However, in less than 2 minutes Zhang Yu regretted it, because Lu Yaoyao applied the medicine with such force, claiming it was for better absorption, that it left Zhang Yu howling in pain, with snot flying 2 feet long. In the end, he shouted in exasperation, good heavens! Why are you wrapping me up like a mummy just to apply some medicine? That's way too much. Seeing how energetic he was, Lu Yaoyao knew he wasn't seriously hurt. She went up and gave him a pat, saying, will you still show off next time? Zhang Yu grimaced in pain. No, definitely not. I won't join in the excitement next time. Lu Yaoyao leaned in closer. Swear to me, you old hag. Zhang Yu flatly refused. I won't. Lu Yaoyao was so angry that she immediately pinned Zhang Yu down on the sofa and started hitting him. You think you can mess with me, huh? Zhang Yu could only beg for mercy repeatedly. It's human nature to join in the fun. At most, I'll just take a look and not go in. Lu Yaoyao threw 2 more punches. Say that again. Zhang Yu completely gave in. Can't I just take a look and do nothing? Lu Yaoyao clapped her hands. That's more like it. I'm leaving. With that she walked out. Zhang Yu, without holding back, said, leaving already? Why not stay the night? My bed is big enough. Lu Yaoyao made a face and said, yuck. With that she closed the door and left. Meanwhile, Zhang Yu lay on the sofa, lost in a daze. That big brother asked me to help pass a message to someone at North Capital Sentinel Academy. Maybe I should go there one day. Suddenly, Zhang Yu was stunned and sat up straight. Hey, wait a minute, big brother. You still haven't told me what your name is. Fused, but not in the usual shadow form. Nothing much for now. Zhang Yu opened the system's big wheel again. This time, after spinning, it landed on the word mutant. Then, detailed information about the xenomorph he had killed was displayed. It was recorded in the system. Only now did Jiang Yu understand. The xenomorph he killed would be registered in the system manual. However, it's unclear whether simply killing it is enough, or if it needs to be absorbed by the shadow devourer to be registered. Just then a glint flashed in Jiang Yu's eyes. He had actually learned a new skill. Shadow Strike is a camper skill that allows attacks to be launched from the shadows, with the first strike dealing massive damage. Seeing the new skill, Jiang Yu eagerly stood up, but due to his body aching all over, he could only move like a zombie. He rose to his feet, struck a Chinibu pose and shouted, "Shadow Strike activate." As a result, nothing happened. Jiang Yu stood there dumbfounded for several minutes. Instantly, he stomped his feet in anger. "System, are you messing with me?" It had no effect at all. At that moment, Jiang Yu suddenly realized that he might have wronged the system. This skill was probably a targeted one and required a specific target to work. Instantly, he felt a bit embarrassed. But he still plopped down on the sofa nonchalantly and said, "No worries, I'll try it out another time when there's a chance." Then he tapped on the human option on the system's big wheel. Then his attribute panel popped up. Taking a closer look, the description at the bottom seemed exactly like game dialogue. It made Jiang Yu break out in a cold sweat. The lines were just too cringy. However, Jiang Yu still swiped across the system panel, and immediately a new prompt appeared. The shadow has undergone a transformation and can merge with you as one. Is this some new skill? He looked closely at the introduction and realized that this shadow form is actually the complete version of the golden finger. All 4 attributes are incredibly strong, and the 4th one is especially god tier for locking health. No, wait a second, it's only at 1%? Jiang Yu immediately cursed at the system. What a ripoff. My health is down by 99%. What's the difference between that and being dead? Can it even be saved? Might as well die quickly. But complaints aside, the ability is actually quite decent and worthy of being a golden finger. So Jiang Yu got up again, ready to test its effects. With a wave of his hand, he summoned his own shadow. Jiang Yu and the shadow extended their hands simultaneously. Their index fingers touched together. The shadow instantly transformed into a streak of black light, enveloping Jiang Yu. In an instant, the shadow spread all over his entire body. It wrapped Jiang Yu up completely. Suddenly, a powerful wave spread out. The handsome male lead finally makes his appearance. The path of the god of slaughter officially begins. The male lead of shadow form can only be described with one word: unbelievable. His speed is as swift as a black lightning bolt. He darts and weaves through the room, even stirring up gusts of wind. His strength is also incredibly immense. He lifts the bed with one hand, performing snatches and clean and jerks as effortlessly as drinking water. His defense is even more outrageous. A 200-pound hammer swung straight at his face. He's completely fine. But even such a powerful Jiang Yu was instantly brought back to his original form by the neighbor downstairs' lion's roar. "Are you fighting a war up there? Can you keep it down?" Jiang Yu quickly deactivated his shadow form, thinking it's better to keep a low profile. Who knows, he might need this form to save his life someday. At this moment, Jiang Yu noticed that the entity option on the system had become available. To be honest, Jiang Yu had never quite understood what entity actually meant. Previously, he couldn't see the details, but now that the entity option is available, he can view the full introduction. It allows him to activate the authority corresponding to the entity, but it doesn't mean a true awakening. However, once the entity is activated, it signifies a complete awakening. Moreover, the entity has a unique attribute. Once one person activates it, no one else can activate the same entity. What worries Jiang Yu the most is that line of red text. There is a certain risk. The system specifically noted, risk could also be an opportunity. Jiang Yu hesitated. He was more than willing to grow stronger, but he didn't trust the system's words one bit. A certain level of risk, who knows how big it might be. Although high risk often brings high rewards still. Just as Jiang Yu was still hesitating, the system automatically clicked, yes. Instantly, countless streams of black light surged out from the system window. Seeing this, Jiang Yu was shocked and immediately cursed out loud. "What's wrong with you, system? I haven't made my choice yet. How could you confirm it on your own? Do you even have any awareness of being a system?" Before Jiang Yu could finish cursing, the surging black light transformed into ribbon-like strands, wrapping him up tightly. Then it began to vibrate eerily. I don't know how much time had passed. A foot extended from the massive black sphere, and Jiang Yu emerged from it. Now Jiang Yu has undergone a major transformation, summarized in 2 words. Handsome as hell. Now awakened as a hunter, He either thrives in the hunt or perishes in it. All of his attacks will inflict damage. Of course, attacks from external objects don't count, such as firearms, ammunition, and the like. Moreover, as a hunter, the more mysterious he becomes, the more fearsome his reputation grows, the greater his rewards will be. The third annotation is the most terrifying. His pursuit. Even a god cannot escape. Picking at scabs is truly addictive. The more you do it, the more you can't stop. As Jiangyu reverted to his original form and watched the shadow merge into his body, he couldn't help but sigh in amazement. Even a deity could be harmed, utterly unbelievable. Moreover, once the shadow form is activated, its execution ability receives a certain enhancement, and it even lowers the health threshold required to trigger the execution. And the execution skill means that when the target's health drops to a certain threshold, an instant kill spot will appear. And attacking the instant kill spot is considered an execution. It can instantly kill the opponent. Jiangyu thought back for a moment. Back when hunting that ghost xenomorph, there was a red glowing sphere that appeared. That must have been the instant kill spot, right? With your absolute damage plus the instant kill execution. Jiangyu couldn't help but exclaim, "Holy shit! I'm afraid I'm starting to use an invincible cheat." At that moment, Jiangyu suddenly remembered something. He frantically began tearing the bandages off his body,